Okay, Danielle, we discussed in our first session how CBT believes that our thoughts and emotions affect our behavior. So I want to try something called the three-column method with you. We discussed some different situations that are anxiety provoking for you. Can you think of a situation that occurred this past week that induced some anxiety?
Yeah, I was at work talking with a coworker, and I was asked my opinion about something, and I couldn't think of anything to say. I was at a loss for words.
That must have felt frustrating.
It was. I was so embarrassed.
What I want you to do is write down the event that happened. So in this case, being at a loss for words would be the event. Now, what was going through your mind when you couldn't think of anything to say?
That I was stupid. I should have something to say. My coworker must think I'm so weird.
Okay, we'll go ahead and write down some of those thoughts in the next column under thoughts. And how are you feeling after all this happened?
Embarrassed, nervous, flustered.
Okay, and write that down in the emotion column. So this chart allows us to see how you think and feel after certain situations. Remember last week we talked about how not all your thoughts are always accurate. You often think very negatively about yourself. So here is a list of some dysfunctional thinking patterns. And looking at this list and comparing it to what you were thinking, what would you say I'm stupid would be identified as?
I think it would be labeling.
Absolutely. And what about I should have something to say?
That would probably go into should, ought, must statements.
Yeah. And what about my coworkers must think I'm so weird?
Jumping to negative conclusions.
Great job. This is an example of mind reading. So you can't read your coworkers' minds. You can't jump to negative conclusions. So does this all make sense to you?
Yeah, I think so.
Great. You're doing a great job so far. So the next step is to replace your negative thinking. And this can be pretty difficult, but I'm confident you can get the hang of it. We're actually going to add a fourth column to our three-column chart, and we'll label it replacement thoughts. In this category, we're going to change your negative thoughts to positive ones. So instead of thinking, I'm stupid, I can't think of anything to say, what would be a positive way of thinking?
Maybe I don't always have something to say.
Yeah, that works. You don't always have to say something. So what about another way of thinking, my coworker thinks I'm so weird?
Maybe I don't know what they're thinking, and maybe they really aren't judging me or even noticing me.
That's perfect. And go ahead and write those down. So the hard part is applying this to your natural thinking process. We want this to become like a second nature for you. So can you think of some ways to remind yourself to do this?
I could write myself a note and put it on my fridge or on my mirror.
That's a great idea. Another way of discouraging negative thoughts would be to wear a hair tie or a rubber band on your wrist, and every time you think a negative thought, just snap it on your wrist and mentally change your thinking. Do you think you can work on changing your negative thoughts?
It sounds pretty difficult, and it might take me a while, but I think I could do it.
Yeah, and it is difficult at first, but if you really work on it, I think you can do it. You seem really determined to work on your anxiety, so I think you'll do great. So your homework in the next session is to do the three-column chart after 3 events that provoke your anxiety, and also think of a replacement thinking process for that. So do you think you can do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So last week your homework was to practice your relaxation techniques, and we worked on some deep breathing, muscle relaxation. Were you able to use these methods when you were anxious?
Yeah, it worked pretty well. I became anxious while talking to a group of friends, and I took a few deep breaths and relaxed my muscles, and it calmed me down a little bit.
Good. And you're really making some great progress. So today we're going to work on some desensitization. I'm going to talk you through some situations, and I want you to imagine they're really happening. If you can remember back in our first session, we talked about what events cause the least and most anxiety for you. And I had that list of 6 different situations with me. Your ultimate goal out of the sessions was to be able to give a presentation at work with only a small amount of anxiety. So that's what we're working towards. I'm going to talk you through a few of these situations. starting with the least anxious, getting to the most anxiety provoking. And I want you to really focus on the events and picture they're actually happening. So after each scenario, I'll check in with you on your anxiety level on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. And we're going to stop when your anxiety is at an 8. So your goal is to get through the list, but we don't expect that to happen the first time. So does this sound okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So go ahead and relax. Close your eyes if that helps. And focus on your breathing. Relax your muscles. The first situation is speaking with a friend. You and your friend are talking. Conversation is easy. Your friend is laughing with you. She seems to have a good time. What's your anxiety level?
About a 2.
Good. The next situation is talking with an acquaintance. You don't know the person well. Conversation is limited. You aren't quite sure what to say. What's your anxiety level?
About a 4.
Okay. Take a breath, relax. The next situation is talking with a coworker. You only know the person from work. They try striking up a conversation with you. You don't know what to say. Things are a little bit awkward. What's your anxiety level?
About a 6.
Okay. Keep breathing, relax your muscles. The next situation is speaking with a group of coworkers. There are 4 coworkers with you. They're discussing work. You aren't sure what to contribute to the conversation. What's your anxiety level?
An 8.
Relax, take a breath. We're going to stop now, so go ahead and open your eyes. How are you feeling?
I got pretty nervous towards the end. I felt pretty anxious, but I really tried to keep relaxing.
And you did great. We got through 4 out of 6 items on our list, so that's fantastic. This exercise will only get easier for you over time. I'd like you to work on this technique at home if that's okay with you. So just go through those 4 situations a couple times this week and try to lower those anxiety levels. And eventually after we get through the list, you'll try doing this in real life,
Okay.
but that won't be until you're comfortable doing so.
Okay.
So does that sound okay to you?
I'm nervous to actually do these, but I'll try when I can.